to Hypersleep Voyager. Tonight, we drift into a realm that surrounds us at every moment. On the surface, it is merely a whisper in the wind or the rhythm of rain against the glass. But beneath these simple echoes lies a vast and ancient mystery, an unseen architecture that holds the very geometry of nature together. It is a tireless force. It hums through the bedrock and dances through the stars, never sleeping, never truly silent. It creates form from the void. If you enjoy these quiet explorations, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, just settle in, let the noise of the day simply drift away, allow your eyes to grow heavy, and find your stillness. Let us begin. Sound waves are mechanical vibrations that propagate through matter. They cannot exist in a vacuum. Think of the air in this room. It is not empty space. It is a thick ocean of invisible particles. When a sound is made, it pushes these particles. They bump against their neighbors. The chain reaction begins. This energy travels from the source to you. It touches the walls. It touches the fabric of your bed. It touches your skin. The air itself is a bridge. It carries the weight of the noise until it fades into silence. Nothing is truly separate here. Every molecule is holding hands with the next. The atmosphere wraps around you like a heavy blanket. It waits for the signal to move. It waits to carry the message. It is a reminder that you are never suspended in nothingness, but held constantly by the substance of the world. Low-frequency waves have a greater distance between their peaks. They possess the ability to pass through solid barriers with ease. You have felt this before. A deep hum that does not stop at the ears. It travels into the chest. It settles in the bones. These waves are large and slow. They move like heavy water. They do not hurry. They ignore the walls of the room. They ignore the floor beneath you. They simply pass through. Your body becomes part of the medium. You vibrate in time with the rhythm. The tension in your muscles learns to mimic this slowness. The fast pace of the day dissolves. Only the deep, slow pulse remains. It anchors you to the ground. In this sense, we see that the heaviest sounds are not just heard, but are a physical place where we can rest. Cymatics is the study of wave phenomena and their visual representation. A flat metal plate is covered in fine sand. A bow is drawn across the edge. The vibration begins. At first, the grains of sand jump in chaos. Then they find their place. They gather in the quiet areas where the plate is still. Perfect geometric shapes emerge from the dust. Circles, stars, intricate lattices. The chaotic noise organizes itself into a map. This happens without guidance. It is the natural law of the material. The sand seeks the point of least resistance. It seeks the stillness between the movement. Even in the midst of shaking, there is a pattern. There is a place for every grain to settle. You could say that underneath all noise and confusion, there is a hidden geometry waiting to restore order and balance. Resonance occurs when an object vibrates at its natural frequency. Strike a tuning fork in a quiet room, bring a second fork near it. The second fork will begin to sing. It does not need to be touched. It simply answers the call. The energy transfers through the invisible air. This is sympathetic vibration. Your body also has a natural rhythm. When the environment slows down, you align with it. The heart slows its beat. The breath lengthens its pause. You are not fighting the silence. You are resonating with it. The struggle fades away. You are receiving the calmness of the night. You are tuning yourself to the frequency of sleep. This reveals that we do not have to force peace upon ourselves, but simply be near enough to the silence to let it move within us. Sound energy dissipates as it travels away from its source. The friction of the air molecules converts the motion into small amounts of heat. The wave loses its strength. It becomes wider. It becomes softer. The sharp noises of the day are far away now. They have traveled too far to reach you. They have lost their power. They dissolve into the background hum. The atmosphere absorbs the impact. What reaches you is only a whisper. The heavy air acts as a shield. It filters out the harshness. It leaves only what is gentle. The silence is not an absence. It is the result of distance. The world is still spinning, but it is spinning far from here. It is a reminder that everything eventually loses its momentum and settles into a vast, quiet stillness where we can finally sleep. Wave interference occurs when two waves meet while traveling along the same medium. They pass through one another. The energy combines. Sometimes the peak of one wave meets the valley of another. They cancel each other out. The sound vanishes. It becomes dull. This happens constantly in the air around you. The noise of the street meets the density of your walls. The vibrations collide. The unwanted sound is erased. It is neutralized by the structure of the room. The air becomes still again. The pressure balances out. You are left in the center of this quiet cancellation. The conflict resolves into nothingness. It creates a pocket of safety. The chaotic waves are smoothed out. They return to the flat line of silence. You are in the eye of the storm. In this sense, we see that peace is not just the absence of noise, but the perfect balancing of forces until nothing remains but the quiet. Sound travels faster through solids than it does through gases. The particles in a solid are packed tightly together. They are dense. They pass the energy instantly to their neighbors. Think of the floorboard. Think of the earth beneath the foundation. The vibration moves deep within the ground. It is swift and heavy. The air is thinner. It is slower. It takes its time. The sound reaches you after a delay. It has been softened by the journey through the gas. The urgency is lost. The solid earth holds the weight. The air allows it to drift. You are supported by the fast, dense ground. You wrapped in the slow, drifting air. The floor is the anchor. The room is the cushion. You rest between the two. It is a reminder that we are built to be supported by what is solid and unmoving, while the air softens the world around us. The threshold of human hearing is approximately 0 decibels. This is the quietest sound a young ear can detect. Below this, there is still vibration. There is still movement, but it is too gentle for you to perceive. The world is full of these silent sounds. The shifting of dust, the settling of the house, the flow of blood in the veins. They are happening now, but they do not demand your attention. Your brain filters them out. It grants you immunity. You do not need to process every signal. The volume is turned down. The sensory input fades. You are allowed to float on the surface of this silence. The machinery works without you. The biology continues. You are free to let go. This reveals that there is a vast machinery of life operating quietly in the background, sustaining you without you ever needing to listen. White noise contains all audible frequencies occurring with equal intensity. It is a wall of sand. It has no pattern. It has no message. It is like the sound of rain. It is like the sound of a distant ocean. Because it contains everything, it conceals everything. It covers the sudden sharp noises. It covers the creak of the door. It covers the siren in the distance. The brain stops trying to decode it. The mind stops looking for meaning. The detailed edges of the world are blurred. The focus softens. The sound becomes a texture. It wraps you in a cocoon of static. It is a constant, steady presence. It acts as a blanket for the ears. The jagged silence is smoothed over. You could say that by hearing everything at once, we are finally able to hear nothing at all, allowing the mind to drift into emptiness. Soft, porous materials absorb sound energy rather than reflecting it. Look at the pillows. Look at the heavy curtains. They're filled with tiny pockets of air. When a sound wave hits them, it enters these pockets. It gets caught. It bounces around inside until it loses its strength. The energy is drained away. The sound does not return. It does not echo. The room becomes quieted. The sharpness is removed. The acoustic space shrinks down to the area around your bed. The world outside feels miles away. The soft materials act as a sponge. They soak up the noise. They clean the air of vibration. The silence thickens. It becomes heavy. It presses against you. In this sense, we see that softness is the strongest defense against the chaos of the world, absorbing the impact so we can remain undisturbed. Sound waves bend towards areas of cooler temperatures. This creates the phenomenon of refraction. At night, the ground cools down. The air near the earth is heavy and cold. The air above is warmer. The sound waves travel out. They try to escape into the sky, but the temperature changes their path. They are bent back down, and they curve towards the earth. They hug the ground. The night holds the sound close. It creates a blanket of acoustics. The world feels closer. The ceiling of the sky feels lower. You are contained within this cool layer of air. The atmosphere creates a natural boundary. You are sealed in. The vastness of space is kept at bay. It is a reminder that the night itself changes the physics of the air to keep us grounded and protected within a smaller, quieter world. A fundamental frequency is often accompanied by a series of higher-pitched overtones. You hear a single note, but it is actually many notes stacked together. They blend perfectly. They create the texture of the sound. This is called timbre. It is what makes a voice sound warm. It is what makes a cello sound rich. These layers exist in a strict hierarchy. The lower notes support the higher ones. The foundation, even in silence, there is a spectrum. The white noise has layers. The hum of the fan has layers. They weave together. They form a single thick chord. It is a consistent vibration. It does not waver. The complexity is hidden. You only feel the unity. You could say that even the simplest things are made of complex harmonies working in unison to create a singular, soothing experience of reality. And for us it consists of frequencies below 20 Hz which are generally inaudible to humans. These are the sounds of the planet itself, the slow movement of tectonic plates, the deep rolling of the ocean tides, the wind passing over a mountain range. You cannot hear them with your ears, but your body senses the pressure. It is a primitive signal. It connects you to the large, slow movements of the earth. These rhythms take hours to complete. They take days. Compared to them, your heartbeat is fast. Your thoughts are fleeting. You are resting on top of a giant, slow-moving creature. The earth breathes beneath you. It is steady. It is ancient. It is predictable. This reveals that we are always being rocked by the deepest lullaby of the universe, a rhythm so slow it feels like stillness. A standing wave is a vibrational pattern created within a medium when reflected waves interfere with incident waves. It appears to be stationary. The wave does not move forward. It simply pulses in place. Think of the air in your room right now. There are invisible pillars of pressure. They are locked between the walls. The energy is not traveling. It is hanging suspended. It creates nodes of perfect stillness. Even while the air vibrates, there are points that do not move. The sound finds a structure. It builds a scaffold of silence. The room holds the note without effort. The atmosphere is fixed in a silent architecture. The chaotic movement settles into a predictable form. It is a reminder that, even in the midst of movement, there are points of perfect stillness where the forces balance and nothing needs to change. Acoustic impedance is the resistance that a material offers to the passage of sound waves. When sound meets a new material, it hesitates. The air meets the glass of the window. The density is different. The energy cannot pass easily. It is turned back. The boundary is a gatekeeper. It keeps the outside world separate from the inside. The noise of the street strikes the pane. It is rejected. It bounces off the heavy surface. The resistance protects you. The barrier is solid. The vibrations are forced to retreat into the night. You are on the safe side of the wall. The air in your room remains undisturbed. This reveals that resistance is not an obstacle, but a necessary boundary that creates a sanctuary where we can remain untouched by the turbulence outside. Harmonics are integer multiples of a fundamental frequency. It moves as a whole, but it also divides itself. Halves, thirds, quarters. These smaller vibrations hide inside the large one. They are invisible mathematical divisions. They happen automatically. The universe divides the sound perfectly. There is no error. The math is exact. Your breath follows a rhythm. Your heart follows a beat. These are the fundamental notes. The body aligns with the simple math of sleep. The complexity falls away. The integers align. The vibration becomes pure. You are not a collection of parts. You are a single resonant chord. You could say that nature always seeks the simplest ratio, organizing the chaos of life into a ladder of perfect resonance and order. The speed of sound decreases as the temperature of the air drops. The night is cold. The molecules move slowly. They are lethargic. They pass the message with less enthusiasm. The sound drags its feet. It takes longer to cross the room. The air becomes viscous. It is thick like syrup. The sharp cracks of the day are gone. Only the slow, rolling sounds survive. The cold dampens the energy. It acts as a heavy curtain. The atmosphere presses down. It slows the world to a crawl. The urgency evaporates. The distance between things seems to grow. The sound arrives late, or not at all. In this sense, we see that the cooling of the world is a signal for all things to slow down to conserve their energy for the morning. Bone conduction is the transmission of sound to the inner ear primarily through the bones of the skull. You do not always need ears to hear. The vibration travels through the frame. Put your head on the pillow. The sound of your own pulse becomes audible. It travels through the jaw. It travels through the skull. It bypasses the air entirely. It is an internal circuit. The sound is inside you. It is intimate. It is close. You are listening to the machinery of your own life. The rhythm is steady. The engine is reliable. The outside world is muted. Only the internal truth remains. It is a reminder that the most important rhythms are the ones that come from within, beating steadily regardless of the silence outside. The absorption coefficient is a measure of the proportion of sound energy absorbed by a material. Every object in the room is a trap for noise. The carpet is a forest of fibers. The blanket is a landscape of woven thread. The sound falls into them. It gets lost. It cannot find its way out. The energy is converted into silence. The room is designed to hold quietness. The hard surfaces are covered. The echoes are resolved. The softness wins. The vibration ends here. It sinks into the mattress. It sinks into the pillow. The air becomes still. The friction absorbs the noise. This reveals that the world is filled with soft places ready to catch the weight of the noise and bury it deep where it cannot disturb you. Huygens' principle states that every point on a wavefront is a source of wavelets that spread out in the forward direction. Turn. It does not stop. It bends. It wraps around the obstacle. It flows like water around a stone. The sound fills the shadow. It reaches into the hidden places. It covers the room evenly. There are no gaps. The blanket of air is continuous. The vibration finds you even in the dark. It is a gentle arrival. It is not a straight line. It is a curve. It hugs the walls. It hugs the furniture. It surrounds you completely. You could say that nothing can truly be hidden or separated as the energy of the world bends and flows to embrace every corner of existence. The decibel scale is logarithmic, meaning a decrease of 10 decibels represents a tenfold reduction in sound intensity. As the night deepens, the volume drops. It does not just go down a step, it collapses. The intensity falls away rapidly. car passes, then silence. The fridge hums, then silence. The drop is steep. The energy vanishes. The math of the scale works in your favor. Silence is not linear. It is exponential. The world is turning off the power. The sensory input shrinks. The quiet becomes vast. The noise becomes small. The void expands to fill the room. It is a reminder that silence is a default state of the universe, and it takes her a little distance for the noise to fall back into the void. Reverberation time is the length of time required for sound to decay 60 decibels after the source has stopped. Ideally, in a bedroom, this time is very short. The sound happens, then it fades. It touches the soft walls. It touches the heavy blankets. The energy is swallowed immediately. There is no echo here. The room does not let the noise linger. It creates a still acoustic space. The past sound cannot survive in the present moment. The air forgets what was said. The vibration is erased. The silence rushes in to fill the gap. It is immediate. It is absolute. The room is a clean slate. This reveals that the past does not have to haunt us, but can simply fade away into the soft textures of the night, leaving only the peace of the now. Elasticity refers to the ability of the material to return to its original shape after being deformed. The air in this room is elastic. A sound pushes the molecules together. They are squeezed. They feel the pressure, but they do not break. They push back. They return to their neutral position. They want to be at rest. A disturbance is temporary. The air always heals itself. It snaps back to equilibrium. The silence is the natural state. The noise is just a brief interruption. The atmosphere is resilient. It absorbs the blow and recovers. It settles down again. It is a reminder that no matter how much we are pushed or pulled by the day, our natural state is one of balance, and we will always return to center. A sine wave represents a smooth, periodic oscillation of constant amplitude. It is the purest form of sound. It has no sharp edges. It has no sudden, jagged peaks. It is a perfect curve. Visualize a rolling hill. Visualize a gentle swell on the ocean. The wave rises slowly. It falls slowly. It flows without interruption. There is no friction in this shape. It is mathematically perfect. It is the shape of a lullaby. Your breath mimics this curve. In, up, down. There is no stopping point. It is a continuous loop. The harsh angles of the city are gone. Only the curve remains. You could say that the fundamental shape of the universe is not hard or rigid, but a soft, endless loop that cradles us in its motion. Acoustic shadowing occurs when a sound wave fails to propagate behind a large physical obstacle. High-frequency sounds behave like light. They cannot turn corners well. They are blocked by mass, the heavy dresser, the thick door, the wall behind your head. They cast a shadow of silence. The sharp noises of the house cannot reach you. You are in the shade. The obstacle protects you. The sound hits the barrier and stops. It leaves a zone of quietness where you are resting. You are hidden from the frequency. The geometry of the room is a shield. You are covered. In this sense, we see that the heavy burdens and obstacles in our path can actually serve as walls, creating a protected space where the noise cannot find us. Rarefaction is the region of a sound wave where the medium is expanded and the density is lowest. The wave pushes the air, but then it pulls back. It creates a space. The particles are far apart. They are not crowded. They have room to drift. For every moment of pressure, there is a moment of release. The air stretches out. It relaxes. The tension dissolves. This happens thousands of times a second. Compression, release, compression. Yeah. You are in the phase of release. The pressure is gone. The density of the day is thinning out. The crowd creates distance. The tightness in the chest loosens. This reveals that emptiness is not a lack of substance, but a necessary part of the rhythm, allowing a space to finally breathe. Damping is the reduction in the amplitude of an oscillation as a result of energy draining from the system. Imagine a winged set. If you stop pushing, it slows down. The air pushes against it. The friction steals the energy. The arc gets smaller. The movement gets weaker. This is happening to every sound in the room. The energy is constantly leaking away. The vibration is tired. It wants to stop. The universe favors stillness. It requires energy to make noise. It requires zero energy to be quiet. The natural pull is towards Dara. You are drifting towards that point. The momentum is lost. Is a reminder that all struggle eventually runs out of fuel, and the natural gravity of the world will bring us gently to a stop. The period of a wave is the time taken for one complete cycle of vibration to pass a given point. It is a measure of time. It is precise. It is unhurried. The cycle begins. The cycle ends. It takes exactly as long as it needs. There is no rushing the physics. The low sounds have a long period. They take their time to cross the room. They are patient. Your breathing has a period. Your sleep cycle has a period. The universe operates on a schedule of repetition. You are locked into this reliable clockwork. You do not need to manage the time. It flows automatically. You could say that time is not running out, but simply circling around us, repeating its ancient rhythm until we fall asleep. Auditory masking occurs when the perception of one sound is affected by the presence of another sound. Usually, a loud sound hides a quiet one. But tonight, the loud sounds are gone. The mask is removed. The delicate sounds are revealed. The sound of the wind outside. The sound of the settling house. These are the hidden tracks of reality. And they were always there. They were just covered up. Now the heavy layer of the day is stripped away. You can hear the subtle truth of the world. It is gentle. It is not demanding. It is a whisper. The silence allows you to perceive the small things. This reveals that when we strip away the loud distractions of the ego, we find a quiet, humble reality waiting patiently underneath. Sound waves are classified as longitudinal waves, meaning the displacement of the medium is parallel to the direction of propagation. The air does not move across the room. It stays in place. It simply rocks back and forth. A particle pushes its neighbor. Then it swings back. It returns to its home. The energy travels, but the substance stays. It is like a cradle. The air around your bed is rocking. It is a gentle oscillation. Forward, backward. The pressure builds and releases against your skin. You are being held by a medium that is constantly returning to its center. It does not want to leave. It wants to stay here. It is a reminder that we do not need to go anywhere to be moved, but can find a rhythm of rest right where we stand. A unique frequency is produced when the sound waves or frequencies interfere with one another. The result is a pulsing sound. The volume rises and falls. It is slow. It is rhythmic. One wave is slightly faster. One is slightly slower. They drift in and out of phase. Sometimes they match. Sometimes they clash. This creates a cycle. The air thickens and thins. The room seems to breathe. The sound is not constant. It has a lifespan. It swells and fades like a tide. The sharp tone becomes eighth. The complexity is smoothed out. In this sense, we see that differences do not always lead to chaos, but can combine to create a slower, deeper pulse of life that lulls us to sleep. Sound travels approximately 4 times faster through water than through air due to the incompressibility of the liquid. Your body is primarily composed of water. You are a vessel of liquid. When a sound hits you, it does not stop at the skin. It travels deep into the tissue. It moves swiftly through your cells. You are transparent to the vibration. The low hum of the night enters you. It becomes part of your internal ocean. You are not separate from the environment. The barrier of the skin is an illusion to the sound. It passes through as if you were made of the same substance as the deep sea. You could say that we are designed to let the song of the universe pass through us, connecting our internal waters with the vast ocean of air outside. The spontaneous synchronization occurs when the oscillating systems interact and eventually lock into a common frequency. The tic-tacs on a wall, and they will eventually tick together. The vibrations travel through the wood. They agree on a rhythm. The struggle ends. The same happens to you. The steady hum of the fridge. The slow traffic outside. Your body feels these rhythms. It adjusts. Your heartbeat slows down to match the world. You are assisting up. The chaotic rhythms merge into one. You are not an isolated machine. You are part of the room. This reveals that we are not alone, but parts of a greater whole that is constantly pulling us into a state of shared harmony and rest. Sound propagates spherically from a point source, expanding equally in all directions in an isotropic medium. Then, it grows outward like a bubble. It gets wider. It gets thinner. The energy is spread over a larger and larger surface. The intensity drops. The sound touches the ceiling. It touches the floor. It fills every crack. But as it touches everything, it loses its power. It becomes a ghost of itself. The sphere is vast. The edge is weak. The center is empty. The sound has given everything it has to the space. It has stretched itself until it breaks. It is a reminder that the natural path of all things is to expand until they are so thin and light that they simply merge with the emptiness around them. Sound attenuation results in the eventual conversion of acoustic energy into thermal energy. Silence is the end of the road. The sound wave fights through the air. It pushes the molecules. This work creates friction. The friction creates heat. The noise fades away. It becomes a tiny amount of warmth. The loud voice becomes a temperature. The music becomes a calorie. The energy is now lost. It just changes form. It becomes quiet. It becomes soft. The room is slightly warmer because of the day's noise. The anger dissolves into heat. The stress evaporates. You could say that the final destination of all noise and fury is a gentle warmth that wraps around us as we sleep. The Doppler effect is the change in frequency of a wave in relation to an observer who is moving relative to the wave source. The echo drives away. The pitch drops. The sound gets lower. It gets deeper. The wave is stretched out by the distance. The world is moving away from you. The day is driving away. The high urgency of the morning is shifting down. The frequencies are sliding into the bass. The distance stretches the sound into a moan. Then it stretches it into silence. The red tail lights fade. The vibration lengthens. This reveals that as the events of the day recede into the past, they lose their sharpness and settle into a deep, low hum of memory. High note is a point along a standing wave where the wave has minimum amplitude. In every vibration, there are places that do not move. The energy cancels itself out perfectly. The sand on the Cymatics plate gathers here. It runs away from the shaking. It piles up into quiet lines. These are the safe zones. The structure of the sound creates a sanctuary. Even in a loud room, there are pockets of silence. You are searching for this noun. You are finding the place in the bed where the world stops spinning. The storm has an eye. The chaos has a border. It is a reminder that peace is not found by stopping the world from shaking, but by finding the still point where the vibration creates a natural place of rest. Every physical object possesses a natural frequency at which it vibrates most easily. It is a hidden preference within the material. The glass on the table is waiting for a specific pitch. The wooden frame of your bed has a secret note. When that note is struck, the object wakes up. It begins to hum without being touched. It is a sympathetic reaction. The energy flows from the air into the solid material. The resistance disappears. The object is no longer fighting the sound. It is accepting it. Your body also has a frequency. There is a pace of life that requires no effort. When you find it, the tension drops. The struggle ends. You are simply vibrating in harmony with the room. And this reveals that we do not need to force our way through the world, but merely find the rhythm that allows us to move without resistance. Diffraction is the bending of waves around the corners of an obstacle or through an aperture. Imagine a door slightly ajar. The light only makes a beam, but the sound is different. It squeezes through the crack. It spreads out instantly. It fills the entire arc room. It does not stay in a straight line. It is curious. It wants to occupy the empty space. It reaches into the shadows. The smallest opening is enough for the vibration to enter. The heavy air carries the message to every corner. You cannot hide from the atmosphere. It wraps around you. It finds you in the dark. It is a gentle arrival. In this sense, we see that even the smallest opening is enough to let the connection flow in, filling the emptiness with a comforting presence. The intensity of sound is inversely proportional to the square of the distance from the source. Move twice as far away, and the sound is not half as loud. It is 1/4 as loud. The distance heats the energy. The geometry of space dilutes the power. You are far from the center of the city. You are far from the road. The noise has to travel across the miles. By the time it reaches your window, it is a shadow. It is thin. It is weak. The vastness of the space protects you. The expanding sphere spreads the energy until it is almost nothing. The silence wins through sheer distance. It is a reminder that if we simply create enough space between ourselves and the noise, the geometry of the universe will naturally reduce the chaos to a whisper. Phase cancellation occurs when two waves of identical frequency interact while being 180 degrees out of phase. One wave pushes the air forward. The other pulls it back. They meet in the middle. The forces are equal. They are opposite. The result is zero. The sound vanishes. It is not magic. It is physics. The pressure is equalized. The air stops moving. The energy is still there, but it is locked in a stalemate. The struggle creates a perfect cone. The noise eats itself. You are left with the silence that comes from balance. The opposing forces have canceled each other out. The room is neutral. You could say that true peace is not the absence of conflict, but the perfect balancing of forces until they resolve into a quiet, steady stillness. The speed of sound is directly proportional to the temperature of the medium. Heat makes the molecules agitated. They pass the energy quickly. Cold makes them sluggish. They move with hesitation. Tonight, the air is cooling down. The atmosphere is losing its heat. The molecules are slowing their dance. The sound travels slower now. It takes its time to cross the room. The urgency is frozen out of the air. The sharp edges of the sound are blunted by the cold. The world is moving at a lower velocity. The delay is comforting. There is no rush. The physics of the night demands patience. This reveals that the cooling of the world is a signal for us to lower our own speed, matching the lethargy of the air around us. Ultrasound consists of frequencies that vibrate too fast for the human ear to perceive. The air is full of high-pitched energy. Insects call to each other. Machines hum with invisible power. It is happening right now, that you are protected from it. Your biology sets a limit. It draws a line. You are not meant to hire everything. The chaos is filtered out. You are left with a muted version of reality. It is a mercy. The silence you hear is a gift of your limitations. The brain is allowed to rest. The details are blurred. You are floating in a quiet bubble within a noisy universe. It is a reminder that we need to process every signal in existence to be safe, and that our limitations are actually a form of shelter. Sound cannot propagate through the vacuum because it requires a material medium. In the empty space between the stars, there is absolute silence. There is no air to carry the wave. There is no touch. But here we have the atmosphere. We are submerged in a fluid. Every sound is a physical touch. The air molecules that brush against the wall also brush against your skin. We are swimming in the same heavy ocean. The sound is the ripple in the water. It proves that we are not isolated. We are physically connected to everything that makes a noise. The air bridges the gap. In this sense, we see that the ability to hear is actually the ability to be touched by the world from a distance, reminding us that we are never truly alone. A harmonic series is a sequence of frequencies where each is a perfect integer multiple of a fundamental tone. Nature loves whole numbers. It hates fractions. It hates chaos. When a string vibrates, it divides itself perfectly. Halves, thirds. It builds a ladder of sound. The notes stack on top of each other. They agree. They fit. Even in the wind, even in the noise of the city, there is a hidden math. The universe is constantly trying to resolve the noise into a chord. It seeks the path of order. The vibration wants to be simple. The complexity collapses into a single rich tone. You could say that beneath the apparent confusion of the day, there is a fundamental law of harmony waiting to align everything into a perfect, resonant structure. Specular reflection occurs when a sound wave travels through a medium and strikes a smooth, rigid surface. The wall does not accept the energy. It refuses the burden. It ends the wave back into the room. The voice returns to you. It is a loop of energy. The past visits the present. The room holds the memory of the noise for a second longer. The angle of arrival equals the angle of departure. The geometry is exact. The sound mirrors itself. You are bathed in the returning echo of the house. The walls are active participants. They keep the sound inside. They create a container for the vibration. It is a closed system. It is a reminder that what we put out into the world often returns to us, softened and delayed by the journey through the air. Faraday waves are nonlinear standing waves that appear on the surface of a liquid vibrating at a critical frequency. Imagine a cup of water sitting on a table. The surface is flat. It is a mirror. Then the low hum of the night begins. The water shivers. It does not splash. It forms a pattern. Star shapes appear in the liquid. They lock into place. The fluid becomes a sculpture. It obeys the invisible force. The chaos of the liquid is tamed by the vibration. It finds a shape. It holds that shape. The water is dancing in place. It is a liquid crystal. This reveals that even the most fluid and changeable parts of our nature can be held together by a steady, underlying rhythm that gives us form. Binaural beats are an auditory illusion perceived when two tone sine waves are presented separately to each ear. One tone enters the left. A different tone enters the right. They do not match. The brain tries to reconcile them. It cannot find the middle ground outside, so it creates a third sound inside. A ghost tone. It exists only within the mind. It is a bridge between the two sides. The brain creates its own rhythm to solve the puzzle. The conflict leads to a new frequency. The two hemispheres work together. They sync up. The pulsing sound brings the mind down to a slower state. In this sense, we see that the mind has the power to bridge the gap between opposing forces, creating a new harmony where there was once division. Amplitude is the maximum displacement, or distance moved by a point on a vibrating body from its equilibrium position. It is the height of the wave. It is the strength of the push. During the day, the amplitude is high. The air is pushed hard. The pressure is intense. Now the amplitude is low. The wave is almost flat. The molecules barely move from their home. The distance from the center, the energy is conserving itself. The movement is microscopic. The wave is gentle. It barely touches the shore. The ocean of air is glassy. The storm is past. You could say that we do not always need to live at full height, but can lower our intensity to find a quiet, sustainable baseline where we can rest. Subharmonic S are tones whose frequencies are integer fractions of the fundamental frequency. These are the notes below the note. You feel them more than you hear them. They are deep. They provide the foundation. The high notes float on top. The subharmonic S anchor them. It is the dark soil beneath the grass. It is the heavy stone beneath the house. The structure is supported from below. The sound has a basement. It is solid. It is heavy. It does not move easily. The lighter sounds rely on this depth. The vibration goes down into the floor. It grounds you. It is a reminder that for every visible vibration in our lives, there is a deeper, slower rhythm underneath that holds everything up and keeps us steady. Acoustic levitation, using pressure of sound waves to counteract the force of gravity. Sound is not just noise. It is pressure. It is physical strength. If the waves are arranged correctly, they can lift an object. A drop of water floats in the air. It is held by the invisible hands of the sound. It rests on a cushion of vibration. It does not fall. It defies the weight of the world. It is suspended in a note of silence. The pressure surrounds it. It is safe. It is weightless. The air itself becomes a hammock. The heavy pull of the earth is neutralized. This reveals that invisible forces, when focused correctly, have the strength to lift the heaviest burdens and hold them in suspension while we sleep. The cochlea is a spiraled, hollow, conical chamber of bone in the inner ear. It is shaped like a snail shell. It is a spiral deep inside your head. The sound enters this cave. It travels around the curve. It goes deeper into the center. The spiral slows it down. The lower sounds live in the center. The high sounds live at the entrance. The geometry sorts the world. It organizes the chaos into a map. The sound walks a long path to reach your brain. It is processed. It is understood. The spiral leads to a single point, the end of the line. It is a reminder that we are built with an internal labyrinth designed to take the chaos of the outside world and guide it slowly to a central point of quiet understanding. A phonon is a collective excitation in a periodic, elastic arrangement of atoms or molecules. In the world of the very small, sound is a particle. It is a packet of energy. It moves through the crystal lattice of matter. It carries heat. It carries sound. They are the same thing. The vibration of the atom is the temperature. As the room cools, the phonons slow down. The fewer of them. The particles rest. The lattice becomes still. The solid materials of the room stop vibrating. The fear leaves. The sound leaves. The structure becomes rigid and silent. The energy dissipates in the void. In this sense, we see that silence and cold are brothers, working together to bring the atomic energy of the world to a halt. Shear waves are transverse waves that can only propagate through solid materials. They cannot travel through the air. The gas molecules slide past each other. They cannot hold the shape of the wave. The air in your room is unable to carry this heavy, sideways movement. It filters the vibration, but the floor beneath you is solid. It holds the weight. The structure of the building absorbs the deep shadows of the earth. The walls lock their atoms together. They stand firm. The air remains fluid and soft. It refuses to transmit the shock. You are floating in a gas that disconnects you from the hardness of the ground. It is a reminder that flexibility is often a form of protection, allowing the harsh movements of the world to pass us by without taking hold. The near field is the region immediately surrounding a sound source, where the sound particle velocity are not in phase. This is the zone of intimacy. It is the whisper right next to the ear. It is the hum of the pillow. In this space, the physics are complex. The sound is raw. It has not yet spread out. It belongs only to you. The rest of the room is in the far field. It is distant. It is detached. But here, in the near field, the vibration is personal. It touches the sky directly. The rest of the world is too far away now. You are enclosed in a small bubble of immediate sensation. This reveals that the most important reality is the one closest to us, within the reach of our own hands. Inertia is the resistance of any physical object to any change in its velocity. The air molecules in this room have mass. They have weight. They do not want to move. To make a sound, the world must push them to move. It takes energy to overcome their laziness. When the energy stops, the molecules stop. They return to rest. They want to be still. The natural state of the heavy air is silence. It requires no effort to be quiet. It requires work to be loud. The momentum of the day runs out. The inertia of the night takes over. The atmosphere settles down like dust. It is a reminder that the universe naturally prefers a state of rest, and if we stop pushing, peace will return automatically. Transmission loss quantifies the reduction of sound energy as it passes through a partition. The wall of your bedroom is a filter. It stands between you and the chaos. The noise strikes the bricks. It strikes the insulation. The material absorbs the energy. It refuses to let the sound pass. The vibration is trapped in the solid matter. It fades inside the wall. The signal is lost. The information is quieted. On your side, the air is empty. The noise has been neutralized by the barrier. You are inside the fortress. The heavy matter protects the light air. In this sense, we see that we can build boundaries that not only define our space, but actively strip the power from anything that tries to intrude. Helmholtz's resonance occurs when air is forced into a cavity and the pressure inside pushes back. Think of blowing across the top of a bottle. A deep note is formed. Your room is a cavity. It is a container for air. It has a natural, deep resonance. It holds a specific volume of silence. The walls define the shape of the sound. You are resting inside the instrument. The pressure is balanced. The air is cradled by the structure. The room hums a low, invisible note of safety. It wraps around you. You are the center of the resonance. This reveals that we are not just inhabiting empty space, but are held within a vessel designed to contain and amplify the feeling of peace. Acoustic coupling takes place when the systems are joined so that vibrations are transferred from one to the other. The bed is coupled to the floor. The floor is coupled to the earth. The connection is solid. The vibration travels down. It leaves her body. It flows into the mattress. It flows into the foundation. You are grounding yourself. The excess energy drains away. The earth is large enough to take it all. It absorbs the shaking. It does not give it back. You are connected to the stability of the planet. The circuit is complete. The heavy mass of the world anchors you. It is a reminder that we can release our burdens simply by maintaining contact with the solid ground beneath us. Isochronous stones consist of a regular, evenly spaced pulse of sound. They are predictable. There are no surprises. Sick, sick, sick. The brain loves this pattern. It stops searching for danger. It relies on the rhythm. The heart learns from it. The breath follows it. The future becomes exactly like the past. There is no anxiety here. There is only the steady march of time. The cycle repeats without error. The complexity of the narrative dissolves into a simple beat. You are drifting on a raft of predictability. The current is slow. You could say that when we remove the uncertainty of the future, the mind is finally free to let go of the present. A null point is a location in a field where the field quantity is zero. In the complex interference of waves, there are spots where nothing exists. The forces push and pull perfectly. They cancel out. The result is a void. It is a hole in the noise. You are searching for this 0 point. It is the center of the pillow. It is the bottom of the breath. It is the moment between thoughts. The vibration stops here. The energy is neutralized. You are hidden in the gap. The physics of the world have created a pocket of nothingness just for you. It is a reminder that even in a universe full of us, there are always hidden sanctuaries of absolute silence waiting to be found. Diffuse reflection occurs when sound strikes a rough or irregular surface. It does not bounce back in a straight line. It is scattered. The wave hits the texture of the carpet. It hits the folds of the blanket. The energy is scattered in 1,000 directions. It is diluted. The focus beam becomes a soft mist. The sharp echo is broken. The room softens the blow. The irregularities of your environment are working for you. They take the hard, direct noise and turn it into a gentle wash of background sound. The complexity of the surface destroys the focus of the wave. The sound loses its direction. It loses its intent. It is a reminder that the little imperfections and textures of our lives act as a cushion, breaking up the harshness of the world into something soft and manageable. Viscosity is a measure of a fluid's resistance to flow. The air is not empty. It is a fluid, it has a thickness, and it has a stickiness. When sound moves through it, it must push against this resistance. The air drags on the wave and pulls it back. Every inch of travel costs synergy. The vibration has to work to move forward. The atmosphere is like honey. It is slow and it creates friction. The sound wave gets tired and it slows down. The sharpness is worn away by the heavy air. The silence is the result of this friction. The medium itself is acting as a brake. This reveals that the fairy atmosphere we breathe is designed to slow things down, ensuring that nothing can move too fast or too loud for too long. Human hearing sensitivity changes depending on the volume of the sound. This is known as the Fletcher-Munson curve. At low volumes, the ear becomes less sensitive to bass and treble. This is a biological filter. As the night gets quieter, your ears adapt. They stop listening to the low hum of the city, and they stop listening to the high hiss of the wind. The spectrum narrows, and you only hear the middle range. The extremes fade away, and the world seems simpler. The complexity of the soundscape is cropped. Your body automatically filters out the edges, and you are left with a softer version of. The thunder is muted. The high-pitched sound is gone. You could say that as the world quiets down, our own senses retreat, helping us aid nor the heavy and the sharp so we can find rest. The mass law states that the sound insulation of a wall is determined by its weight. Heavy objects are hard to move. A sound wave strikes the concrete wall. It tries to shake it, but the wall is too heavy. It has too much inertia, and it stands still. The wave collides against the mass and fails. It cannot transfer its energy. The vibration stops at the boundary. The heavy stone protects the empty air inside. The density is your shield. The thickness of the building is a promise of silence. You are surrounded by tons of material. They are the guardians of your sleep. In this sense, we see that the heaviness of the world is not a burden, but a barrier that keeps the moving vibrations of the outside at bay. The principle of superposition states that when two waves meet, they pass through each other without being permanently changed. A sound wave crosses the room, another crosses its path. The moment they occupy the same space. They do not collide, they do not break. They simply slide past one another. They emerge on the other side exactly as they were. The integrity of the wave is preserved. The air allows them to share the space. There is no conflict. There is no damage. The noise of the wind passes to the noise of the traffic. They remain separate. They remain ghost-like. It is a reminder that we can let the noise of the world pass through us without holding on to it, remaining unchanged by the turbulence around us. The acoustic horizon is the maximum distance at which a sound source can be detected by a listener. It is the edge of your audible world. During the day, you hear things for miles, but at night, the background noise changes. The horizon shrinks and the circle draws in. The distant world drops off the map. You can only hear the room. You can only hear the bed. The universe becomes small and the vastness is gone. You are in a capsule of silence. The things beyond the wall do not exist. The physics of hearing creates a boundary. You are in the center. The rest is empty space. This reveals that the world is only as big as we perceive it to be, and tonight it is small enough to hold in the palm of your hand. Auditory habituation is the decrease in response to a repeated, constant stimulus. The brain is efficient. It ignores what is constant. The clock ticks, the fan hums. At first you hear it, then the mind marks it as safe. It stops sending the signal. The sound is still there, but you no longer perceive it. It becomes invisible. It becomes silence. The brain erases the predictable. It clears the stage. You are left with a blank canvas. The sounds of the room disappear. You are alone in the quiet. The senses shut down one by one. You could say that the mind has the power to turn the familiar into the silent, creating peace simply by accepting what is already there. Transduction is the process of converting one form of energy into another. The ear catches the sound wave. It is a mechanical force. It hits the membrane, but then it changes. It becomes an electrical signal. It enters the nerve. It is no longer a physical vibration. It is a code. The physical world ends at the ear. Inside there's only the mind. The heavy noise of the street becomes a silent signal. The external pressure is gone. You have translated the world into something internal. It is soft. It is dreamlike. The firm edges of reality are dissolved by the nerves. In this sense, we see that everything we experience is ultimately transformed into a quiet, internal language that we can control and shape. Pink noise is a signal where the power spectral density is inversely proportional to the frequency. It decreases by 3 decibels per octave. It is deeper than white noise. It sounds like heavy rain. It sounds like leaves rustling. The high hiss is removed. The low rumble is boosted. This is the frequency of nature. The brain recognizes it. It matches the rhythm of your own neurons. The static becomes comfortable. It is thick and warm. It covers the silence without piercing it. In this sense, we see that the most soothing sounds are those that balance the spectrum, giving equal weight to the deep and the slow. The critical distance is the point in a room where the direct sound from a source equals the reverberant sound. Close to the source, the sound is clear. It is direct. Far away, the sound is muddy. It is an echo, but there is a line in the middle. The balance is perfect. The clarity meets the atmosphere. You are standing on this line. You hear the voice, but you also hear the room. The sharp definition softens. The context surrounds the signal. The two forces are equal. You are suspended between the source and the reflection. It is a reminder that we exist in the balance between the immediate moment and the lingering memory of the past. An octave is the interval between one musical pitch and another with double its frequency. It is the same note, but higher. It is a return to the start, but on a different level. The vibration speeds up exactly twice. The cycle aligns. The relationship is perfect. There is no dissonance. It is a circle. You climb the ladder, but you face the same direction. The sound repeats itself in a new form. It is familiar. It is new. The structure is recursive. The universe plays the same song in different guises. This reveals that growth is not about leaving the past behind, but revisiting the same truths from a higher perspective. Acoustic streaming is a steady flow of fluid driven by the absorption of high-amplitude acoustic oscillations. Sound can push the air. It creates a wind. The vibration becomes a current. The invisible noise moves the physical matter. The air circulates in the room. It is pushed by the sheer force of the sound. The stillness is deceptive. There are rivers of air moving around you. They are driven by the invisible energy. The atmosphere is mixing. The stagnant air is refreshed. The wind is silent. You could say that even the invisible forces of the world are constantly at work, moving the air around us to keep the environment alive. The acoustic reflex of an involuntary muscle contraction. that occurs in the middle ear in response to high-intensity sound stimuli. When the world gets too loud, your body responds. Tiny muscle tightens. It pulls on the bones of the ear. It stiffens the chain. The transmission is dampened. The volume is turned down. It is a biological shield. You are built with a limiter. The intensity is rejected. The delicate inner ear is protected. The body knows when to close the door. It knows when to stop listening. It is a reminder that we possess the internal strength to shut out the noise of the world when it becomes too much to bear. A wave packet is a short burst of localized wave action that travels as a unit. It is not a continuous tone. It is a moment, a single word, a footstep. It travels through the silence. It holds its shape. It carries its message. Then it passes. The silence returns. The packet does not last. It has a beginning and an end. It is a visitor in the quiet room. It moves from the source to the receiver. It delivers the energy. Then it dissolves. The silence absorbs it whole. The timeline heals. This reveals that every disturbance is temporary, and the silence will always return to reclaim the space once the moment is past. Sound dispersion creates a phenomenon where phase velocity depends on the frequency. In some materials, high notes travel faster than low notes. The sound splits apart. The sharp tone becomes a whistle. The components separate. The unity is broken. And in the air, this does not happen. The air is non-dispersive. The high and the low travel together. They arrive at the same time. The voice remains whole. The music stays synchronized. The atmosphere keeps the family of sounds together. They hold hands across the room. The integrity is preserved. In this sense, we see that the air itself is a unifying force, ensuring that the message arrives exactly as it was sent, without distortion or separation. The noise floor is the measure of the signal created from the sum of all the noise sources and unwanted signals within a system. Every room has a floor. It is the bottom layer of sound, the hum of electricity, the vibration of the earth. You cannot go below this. It is the baseline of reality. Absolute silence is impossible. There is always a foundation. But this floor is low. It is the carpet of the universe. You can rest on it. It is not a void. It is a presence. It supports the silence. It is a reminder that we never fall into emptiness, but are always supported by the hum of existence that lies beneath everything. Fresh snow is a porous material with a high sound absorption coefficient. The flakes fall from the sky. They stack loosely on the ground. They create a maze of tiny air pockets. The world is covered in a thick white blanket. The hard surfaces are gone. On wave, it's the snow. It enters the maze. It gets lost. It bounces between the ice crystals until it fades. The energy is trapped. The reflection is aero. The world becomes muffled. The acoustic space shrinks. The sharp edges of the city are softened. The landscape is mute. There is no echo here, only the deep quiet of winter. The snow absorbs the noise. It brings a hush to the earth. It is a reminder that softness has the power to silence the hardest noise, covering the world in a layer of peace. The SOFA, our channel, is a layer within the ocean where the speed of sound is at its minimum. It acts as a natural waveguide. Sound waves are trapped here. They try to move up, but the warm water pushes them back. They try to move down, but the pressure pushes them up. They are locked in a tunnel. They travel for thousands of miles. They do not lose their strength. The song of a whale can cross an entire ocean. The message survives the distance. The deep water protects it. The channel is silent and cold. It carries the weight of the sound without effort. In this sense, we see that there are hidden currents in the deep places that allow us to stay connected across the vast distances. And the whispering gallery mode creates a wave that travels along the concave surface of a structure. Stand in the dome, whisper a word. The sound does not cross the room. It hugs the wall, it clings to the stone, it slides along the curve, it ignores the open space in the center. The geometry guides it. The friction is low. The voice arrives on the other side. It is clear. It is intimate. The wall carries the secret. You are not shouting into the emptiness. You are following the path of the architecture. The structure holds the sound close. This reveals that we do not always need to force our voice across the emptiness, but can trust the shape of the world to carry our words to where they need to go. Brown noise has a power spectral density that decreases by 6 decibels per octave, is much deeper than white noise. It has no high frequencies. It has no hiss. It is the sound of a heavy rumble. It is the sound of a low rumble. The energy is concentrated at the bottom. It is heavy. It sits on the floor. It fills the room with a thick texture. The brain relaxes. The sharpness is washed away. The sound acts as a blanket. It weights you down. It feels like gravity. It is a reminder the heaviest, deepest sounds are the ones that anchor us, providing a solid foundation where the mind can finally rest. Stochastic resonance is a phenomenon where a weak signal is amplified by the addition of noise. Sometimes the silence is too empty, the signal is lost. It is too faint to be felt, but you add a little static, you add a random hum, the noise pushes the signal up, it crosses the threshold. The pattern emerges from the complexity. The background helps the foreground. The friction creates traction. You do not need perfect clarity. You need a little texture. The random noise of the fan helps you focus. The hum of the night helps you sleep. You could say that a little bit of disorder is not a flaw, but a necessary support that helps the truth rise to the surface. Our beat occurs when the frequencies are adjusted until they are identical in the pulsation ceases. They are close, but not the same. They interact. They throb. The rhythm is fast, but you tune them. You slide the pitch. The pulsing slows down. The beat stretches out. It becomes us. The two sounds merge. The wobble is gone. The line is flat. The vibration is pure. The difference has ended. The air is steady. The unity is perfect. The oscillation dissolves into stillness. This reveals that when we align ourselves perfectly with the frequency of the moment, the tension disappears and we are left with a single, unbroken note of peace. Seismic communication is the transmission of information through vibrations in the substrate. The elephant trembles. The sound ignores the air. It travels into the ground. It moves through the soil. It moves through the rock. It travels for miles. The receiver stands still. They feel the message in the bones of their feet. The earth is the wire. The skeleton is the antenna. The signal is heavy. It is silent to the ears. It is felt by the body. The wind cannot blow it away. The noise cannot hide it. It is a reminder that the most profound connections are not spoken into the wind, but are felt deeply through the solid foundation that supports us all. When the damper pedal of a piano is depressed, the felt pads are lifted from the strings. The strings are free. They are awake. They are waiting. If you make a sound in the room, the piano answers. The strings catch the vibration from the air. They begin to hum. They resonate. Da, da. A faint chord rises from the wood. The instrument is open. It accepts the atmosphere. The barrier is removed. The resonance is shared. The sound creates a wash of color. It lingers in the dark. The fading is slow. The silence is full. In this sense, we see that when we remove the guards from our own hearts, we become capable of resonating with the beauty of the world around us. The acoustic envelope describes the varying amplitude of a sound over its duration. A sound is born. It rises to a peak. This is the rise. Then it settles. It holds its breath. This is the sustain. Finally, it lets go. It fades into nothing. This is the release. The silence does not happen all at once. It is a slow departure. The energy drains out of the room. The note dissolves like smoke. The air returns to its empty state. It is a reminder that all things must fade, and the end of a cycle is just as natural as the beginning. Nodal lines are stationary regions on a vibrating surface where the amplitude is arrow. The metal plate sings. The sand moves rapidly. It jumps away from the vibration. It searches for safety. It finds the line where the metal is still. The grains gather there. They form a ridge of silence. They are surrounded by noise, but they are not touched. The geometry provides a shelter. The vibration organizes itself into a map of safe harbors. This reveals that even in the center of the shaking world, there are hidden paths of stillness where we can rest unharmed. Structure-born sound is vibrational energy that travels through the solid framework of a building. The walls are not just dividers, they are conductors. The sound of the earth travels up the concrete. The sound of the basement travels through the steel. The building is a single connected body. You are resting inside the framework of the house. The vibration is deep and low. It does not come from the air. It comes from the structure itself. It is the heartbeat of the architecture. In this sense, we see that we are supported by a massive, interconnected structure that holds us steady through the night. A restoring force is the pressure that returns a system to its state of equilibrium. Push the air, it pushes back. It does not want to remain displaced. It seeks the center. The tension is temporary. The desire for balance is permanent. The wave passes through. The molecules snap back to their original position. The disturbance is forgotten. The air heals itself. The atmosphere constantly works to erase the noise and return to zero. You could say that the natural instinct of the universe to correct every imbalance and return us to a state of perfect peace. Cone filtering occurs when a direct sound interferes with a delayed reflection of itself. Sound reaches you, then the echo reaches you. The delay is tiny, but the effect is real. The two waves overlap. They create gaps in each other. Parts of the sound are canceled out. The texture changes. It becomes hollow. The complexity is filtered away by the interference. The reflection alters the reality. The room shapes the voice. It is a reminder that what we hear is never just the source, but the relationship between the sound and the space it inhabits. Planar waves are waveforms that have traveled so far from the source that they appear flat. The sound began as a small sphere. It was tightened, curved, but it has traveled for miles. It has grown vast. The curve has flattened out. Now it approaches your window like a wall. It is an even, steady pressure. It washes over the house. It is not a sharp point. It is a broad, heavy blanket. The distance has smoothed out the shape. This reveals that if we wait long enough, the sharpest points of the past will eventually flatten into a calm, steady horizon. Temporal masking creates a window of silence in the auditory system immediately after a loud sound. Eighth underclap strikes. For a moment, you are unaware of the quiet things. The brain is saturated. It pauses the inputs. The clock continues to tick. The wind continues to blow, but you do not hear them. You are in a shadow of silence created by the volume. The loud event clears the stage. The nervous system takes a break. It rests. In this sense, we see that intense moments create their own subsequent peace, forcing the mind to stop and listen to the silence. Acoustically transparent materials allow sound energy to pass through them with minimal resistance. Think of a thin veil. Think of the mesh on a speaker. The sound approaches the barrier. It does not stop. It flows through the holes. It ignores the obstacle. The material is there, but it does not fight. It allows the energy to travel. It is open. It is yielding. The vibration remains true. The message is not blocked. It is a reminder that we can offer protection without building walls, remaining open to the flow of the world while still maintaining our form. The pinna is a visible cartilaginous part of the outer ear that collects sound. It is a funnel. It is shaped to catch the wind. The complex curves and folds are not random. They are a catcher for vibration. The sound wave hits the skin. It is guided into the canal. The geometry steers the noise. Without this shape, the sound would pass you by. It would be lost in the air, but the ear reaches out. It gathers the scattered energy. It brings the world into the center of your head. You are designed to receive. You are built to listen. It is a reminder that we do not have to chase the truth of the world, but simply remain open enough to let it find its way to us. The signal-to-noise ratio compares the level of a desired signal to the level of background noise. During the day, the ratio is poor. The noise is high. The signal is covered. You cannot hear the important things, but at night, the denominator drops. The background noise vanishes. The ratio improves. The signal becomes clear. The gentle sounds rise to the surface. You can hear your own breath. You can hear the settling of the house. The clarity is not achieved by shouting louder. It is achieved by quieting the surroundings. The balance shifts in your favor. This reveals that clarity does not come from adding more force, but from removing the unnecessary static that clutters the mind. Acoustic decoupling involves separating the parts of a structure to prevent the transfer of vibration. To stop the sound, you must break the bridge. You build a gap. You fill it with soft rubber. You fill it with air. The floor floats above the foundation. The connection is separated. The vibration travels up the wall, but it cannot jump the gap. It stops at the edge. The energy is stopped. On your side of the gap, the air is still. The shaking does not reach you. You are an island. The structure protects you by letting go. In this sense, we see that true peace is oft unfound by disconnecting ourselves from the heavy, vibrating structures that try to shake us. A pressure wave is a type of propagating disturbance that moves faster than the speed of sound in the medium. The pressure builds up. It cannot move out of the way fast enough. It piles up into a wall. The air is compressed into a thin, hard sheet. Then the barrier breaks. The wave passes, and after the wave, there is a vacuum. The pressure drops instantly. The silence that follows is profound. The tension has snapped. The energy is released. The air returns to a calm state. The force of the movement leaves the atmosphere still and quiet. It is a reminder that even the most intense buildup of pressure eventually breaks, leaving behind a deep and lasting stillness. Auditory closure is the ability of the brain to fill in missing parts, sound based on context. A part of it is lost. The noise covers it, but your mind replaces the gap. It repairs the gap. It catches in the missing piece. The pattern is completed. You do not hear the whole. You hear the whole. The brain refuses to accept the emptiness. It stitches the world back together. It creates continuity out of fragments. The narrative remains unbroken. You are safe inside the story. This reveals that the mind has the power to heal the imperfections of the moment, creating a smooth and continuous reality for us to rest in. An echo is a reflection of sound that arrives at the listener with a delay after the direct sound. You speak into the canyon. The sound leaves. It travels away. It hits the far wall. It turns around. It comes back. But it is changed. It is quiet. It is older. The distance has softened it. The time has worn it down. The voice that returns is a memory of the voice that left. The delay creates a rhythm, call and response. The world answers you, but it takes its time. The physics cannot be rushed. It is a reminder that the energy we send out will eventually return to us, but softened by the journey and the wisdom of the distance. Acoustic compliance is the measure of the ease with which a volume of air can be compressed. The air in your room is compliant. It is soft. It yields to pressure. When a sound wave pushes it, it moves. It does not fight back hard. It accepts the burden. It acts like a soft spring. It absorbs the shock. If the air were rigid, the world would be brittle. The sound would break. But the atmosphere is flexible. It bends. It cushions the impact of the noise. It wraps around the vibration. In this sense, we see that softness is a survival strategy, allowing the atmosphere to endure the noise without ever breaking. Room modes are collections of resonances that exist in a room when the room is excited by an acoustic source. The low frequencies are too, they cannot fit. They fold over themselves. They gather in the corners. And they build up against the walls. The bass becomes heavy. It stands still. The room is humming a secret note. You can feel it in the air pressure. The geometry of the space is singing. The sound is not traveling, is dwelling. The air, the stick with the resonance. It weights you down. It is a reminder that the space around us is the silent presence that holds us in its structure. Stereocilia are the mechano-sensing organelles of hair, cells within the inner ear. They are like tall grass growing on the bottom of a river. The fluid of the inner ear moves. The grass bends. It bows down to the current. It does not fight the wave. It accepts the motion. The energy travels through the bristles. They sway in perfect time. The movement is graceful. The microscopic hairs are sensitive to the slightest ripple. They translate the physical world into a signal. They wait for the water to move. It is a reminder that we do not need to be rigid to be strong, but can find our purpose by bending gently with the flow of the current. The tympanic membrane is a thin, cone-shaped structure that separates the external ear from the middle ear. It is a skin. It is a drum. It is pulled tight across the opening. It waits for the air to strike it. The sound wave arrives. The skin vibrates. It moves inward. It moves outward. It mimics the air exactly. It is the boundary between the outside world and the inner self. It takes the moving energy of the wind and turns it into a personal rhythm. The drum beats steadily. The message is received. This reveals that we are built to resonate with the world, taking the impact of the outside and turning it into something we can understand. Sound waves travel through air at a speed of approximately 3 143 meters per second. This is fast, but it is not instant. There's a delay. You see the lightning. Then you wait. The sound is traveling towards you. It is pushing through the heavy atmosphere. It drags its feet. It carries the weight of the distance. Finally, the thunder arrives. It is a rolling, slow arrival. The light was a flash. The sound is a presence. The air slows down the truth. It softens the arrival. It gives you time to prepare. In this sense, we see that the heavy medium of the world acts as a buffer, ensuring that the reality reaches us at a pace we can endure. High-frequency harmonics decay faster than the fundamental frequency of a sound. Strike a bell. At first, the sound is bright. It is sharp. It creates a tone, but the air is absorbent. It absorbs the high notes first. The brightness fades. The edge is worn smooth. The sharp details vanish. What remains is the low, deep hum. The fundamental note survives. It lasts the longest. It is the core of the sound. The decoration is gone. The foundation remains. The hum lingers in the room. It is a reminder that time eventually strips away the superficial details, leaving only the deep, resonant truth that lies at the center. The Eustachian connects the middle ear to the nasopharynx to control the pressure within the ear. The atmosphere is heavy. It presses on your head. It presses on your ears. This tube is the equalizer. It opens, it closes, it lets the air in. It balances the weight. The pressure inside matches the pressure outside. The tension is released. The barrier is neutralized. You swallow. You yawn. The pop is the sound of balance returning. The effort against the weight of the air is over. This reveals that we are equipped with the means to handle the pressure of the world, provided we open ourselves up to let the balance be restored. The auditory canal functions as a quarter wave resonator that amplifies frequencies in the range of human speech. It is a cave. It is tuned to a specific pitch. It loves the sound of the voice. When a whisper enters, the canal holds it. It bounces the sound back and forth. It makes it stronger. It protects the signal. The geometry of your body is designed to boost the connection. It ignores the wind. It ignores the rumble. It focuses on the words. The tunnel guides the message home. It is a reminder that we are physically designed to amplify the gentle, human connection above all the other noise in the world. Acoustic saturation occurs when a medium can no longer linearly transmit increased sound pressure. The air has a limit. It can only carry so much noise. If you speak too loud, the air gives up, the wave distorts, it crumbles, the signal is lost. The energy turns into heat. The atmosphere refuses to carry the excess burden. It acts as a natural ceiling. It enforces a limit on the volume. The intensity of the sound fades. The medium protects itself from the overload. You can only push so hard before the world stops listening. In this sense, we see that there is a natural limit to force, and pushing beyond it only leads to the dissolution of the message. The decay of sound is the exponential reduction in amplitude after the source has stopped. The note is struck, the energy is released. Now it begins to fade. It does not stop suddenly. It fades. The curve is smooth. The volume drops half, quarter. It approaches zero. It gets closer and closer to silence. It is a gentle slope. The sound slides down into the quiet. The room absorbs the memory of the bell. The vibration merges with the stillness. The transition seamless. You cannot tell where the sound ends and the silence begins. It is a reminder that endings are not abrupt walls. but gentle slopes that lead us softly back to a state of rest. The missing fundamental is the echoes phenomenon, where the brain perceives a low pitch that is not actually present in the sound. You hear the deep note, but the ear is only receiving the higher overtones. The foundation is missing from the signal, yet your mind built it. It constructs the bass from the pattern of the eyes. The brain knows what should be there. It fills the void. It completes the structure. You are hearing a phantom tone. It is a phantom bass. It grounds the music. This reveals that the mind has the inherent wisdom to supply the foundation we need, even when the world fails to provide it. Ailean tones are produced when air passes over us, a cylindrical object creating a regular pattern of vortex shedding. The wind hits the telephone wire. It hits the branch of the tree. It splits. It curls around the back. It creates a rhythm. The air flutters. A hum is born from the breeze. The motionless wire is given a voice. The invisible wind is made audible. It is a low, deep song. It is the friction of the moving air against the standing world. Ha is a reminder that even the invisible forces of life will find a melody when they meet a little resistance. Binaural summation states that a sound heard with two ears is perceived as being louder and clearer than the same sound heard with one. The brain takes the signals, it adds them together, it lowers the noise floor, it boosts the truth. The redundancy is a strength. You have a backup system. The left side helps the right side helps the left. They work in unison. The sensitivity is doubled. The effort is halved. You are not fighting the silence alone. You are equipped with a partnership. This reveals that when we integrate our senses and work as a whole, the signal of the world becomes clear and easy to bear. A sounding board is a surface that is coupled to a vibrating string to amplify its sound. It is weak. It moves through the air without moving it, but press it against the wood. The wood wakes up. The vibration spreads across the grain. The large surface pushes the air. The note becomes full. It becomes rich. The board shares the burden of the energy. It takes the small movement and gives it body. The bed frame beneath you acts as a board. It absorbs your rhythm. It holds your weight. In this sense, we see that we are not meant to vibrate in isolation, but to share our energy with the structures that support us. Vortex shedding occurs when a flows past a bluff body, creating oscillating flow patterns. The air cannot move in a straight line forever. It meets an obstacle. It has to turn. It swirls. It creates a spiral. The motion is organized into a train of eddies. They drift away downstream. They are like footprints in the air. The movement is fluid. The friction creates a wake. The disturbance is left behind. You are moving forward. The turbulence is in the past. It drifts away from you. It is a reminder that the chaos we encounter is simply the wake we leave behind as we move through the fluid of time. The critical band is the frequency bandwidth within which the ear integrates sound energy. The ear is a series of filters. It divides the spectrum into slices. It processes the world in chunks. If noises are too close together, they merge. The detail is lost. The ear simplifies the tubes. It refuses to analyze every single frequency. It creates a manageable bandwidth. The complexity is reduced. The load on the mind is lightened. You are listening to a summary of the world. This reveals that we are biologically designed to group the details of life into simple, manageable bands so we are not overwhelmed by the whole. Acoustic lensing occurs when sound waves are focused or diverged by a structure similar to how glass focuses light. A curved wall can act as a lens. It grabs the scattered noise. It bends the path. It forces the waves to meet at a single point. The intensity grows. The silence is pushed to the edges. The sound is concentrated. It becomes a beam. You are in the focal point. The energy is gathered for you. The shape of the room is working to bring the message to your center. It is a reminder that the geometry of our environment can be used to bring the scattered parts of our lives into a single, sharp focus. Mechanical creep is the tendency of a solid material to move slowly or deform permanently under the influence of mechanical stresses. The wood of the house is under pressure. Gravity pulls on it. The roof pushes down. Over years, the molecules slide. They adjust. They find a new position. The house settles. The floorboards creak. It is a slow geologic movement. It is the sound of the material getting comfortable. It is relaxing into the weight. The stress is relieved by the movement. The structure adapts. It is a reminder that even the hardest things in the world are slowly softening and adjusting to find a place of. Sonoluminescence is the emission of short bursts of light from imploding bubbles in a liquid when excited by sound. A sound wave moves through water. The bubble expands, then the pressure changes. The bubble collapses. It happens faster than the eye can see. The collapse is rapid and sudden. The gas inside is squeezed. It gets hot. For a fraction of a second, a star is born in the water. The sound creates light. The vibration transforms into brilliance. The bubble gives up its energy to create a spark. It is a reminder that even in the darkest, deepest waters, the pressure of the world can force a sudden, beautiful moment of light into existence. Piezoelectricity is the electric charge that accumulates in certain solid materials in response to applied mechanical stress. Squeeze a quartz crystal. It feels the pressure. It does not break. It rearranges its charge. It turns the heavy weight into electricity. The stress becomes a spark. The mechanical burden is converted into power. This happens in microphones. It happens in lighters. The material takes the pressure and uses it. It does not complain. It simply transforms the force. The crystal is patient. It waits for the weight. In this sense, we see that the stress we are under is not just a burden, but a source of potential energy waiting to be transformed into something useful. Transient response is the ability of a system to return to equilibrium after a sudden change in the input signal. High drum is struck. It makes a sound, but then it must stop. If it keeps vibrating, the next sound will be muddy. It must control itself. It must return to zero. The cone of the speaker pushes out. Then it pulls back. It stops completely. It waits for the next command. The silence between the notes is defined by this control. The system must let go of the energy. It must not hold on to the past vibration. This reveals that the clarity of our lives depends on our ability to stop, to let go of the last moment, and to return to a place of stillness. An Ankhikic chamber is a room designed to completely absorb reflections of sound, simulating a free field acoustic environment. The walls are lined with wedges. They are deep foam spikes. The sound goes into the wedges. It never comes back. There is no reverberation. If you clap your hands, the sound fades instantly. It is absorbed by the room. You are left with only the source. You hear your heart. You hear your blood. The external world refuses to answer you. You are alone with yourself. It is a reminder that when the world stops reflecting our own noise back at us, we are finally able to listen to the quiet truth of who we are. Acoustic impedance mismatch occurs when sound attempts to travel between two mediums of different densities, causing a reflection. Call to the water. The sound hits the surface. It bounces off. The air is light. The water is heavy. They do not speak the same language. The energy stays in the air. The water remains undisturbed. The fish do not hear you. The barrier is natural. The physics protect the deep. The surface is a mirror for the noise. The sound returns to where it came from. The depths are insulated from the calling. In this sense, we see that there are natural boundaries in the world that protect the deep, quiet places from the superficial noise of the surface. A baffle is a structure used to prevent sound waves from the back of a speaker diaphragm from interfering with those from the front. The speaker pushes air forward. It pulls her back. These two waves are opposites. If they meet, they cancel. The sound fades. The baffle stands between them. It is a wall. It keeps the positive separate from the negative. It forces them to travel a long path. They cannot negate each other. The sound remains strong. The structure maintains the polarity. The barrier preserves the energy. It is a reminder that sometimes we need to build walls between opposing forces to prevent them from canceling out our efforts in silencing our voice. Sympathetic resonance occurs when a passive, vibratory body responds to external vibrations to which it has a harmonic likeness. Sing a note at a piano. Hold down the pedal. The strings are listening. If you hit the right pitch, the piano sings back. You did not touch the keys. Touch the air. The wire recognized the frequency. It answered. The energy jumped the gap. The instrument feels what you feel. It vibrates in agreement. The silence of the room is filled with a quiet note. The connection is invisible but real. This reveals that if we are tuned correctly, need to be struck to sing, but simply need to be near the right vibration to resonate with it. The threshold of discomfort is the sound pressure level to which sound becomes uncomfortable to the human ear, typically around 130 decibels. The body has a warning system. When the world gets too loud, it becomes too much. The nerves fire. They tell you to leave. They tell you to cover your ears. The sensation, the guardian, it prevents strain. It sets a boundary. You are not meant to endure everything. You are allowed to retreat. The limit is biological. It is written in your cells. The noise is too much. The silence is the cure. It is a reminder that discomfort is often just a signal that we have stayed too long in the noise, and it is time to return to the safety of the quiet. And so, we drift to the end of our quiet journey through the unseen geometry of sound. We have watched as invisible vibrations sculpted the motion of sand to the order stars, proving that even the formless air carries a hidden blueprint of beauty. This science offers a profound comfort that beneath the noise and scattered moments of your day, there is a fundamental harmony holding everything together. You do not need to organize the world tonight. It is already structured, already singing, and you are safe within its resonance. If you enjoy these quiet journeys, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. There's nothing left to do now. Just breathe. Let your eyes grow heavy. Let the perfect patterns of these sound waves cradle your thoughts into silence. Good night.